I hated the feeling of going into school, not having read an assignment, and sitting in my chair hoping to God the professor or the teacher didn't call on me because I knew I wasn't prepared. But now when you read the book and you did the assignment, you're sitting in your chair like, bring it on. Eye contact, baby. I'm staring at you. I dare you to call on me. You want a pop quiz? I got this. You do the same thing in life. When you've prepared enough, you're ready for anything, and you like dare people to challenge you because you've done the homework. And I think when you do the homework on yourself, it'll give you that confidence to dial in your personality.
We as men go through some level of maturing where maybe we realize this, or maybe we're bored with it. I'm curious how you might respond to that when you came to that realization. You're comfortable with you.
When you have had enough life experience to be comfortable in your confidence. And what I mean by that is like, I wasn't like, I was popular, but I wasn't like the coolest kid in school. Like I got along with everybody, but I dealt with the same insecurities of like, am I wearing the right clothes? Anybody that doesn't, says they're not, they're not being honest. And then I went to college and I went to West Point for undergrad, and I wanted to do my best, but the military really wasn't my thing, so I kind of had to find my way there and not punch somebody in the face that was yelling at me every time they yelled at me. I had to figure out how to be more disciplined. And then I thought, well, if I could just get out of this, then once I'm back into the private world, I'll find my way. And I was at West Point for 9/11, and so best laid plans went out the window. I served, in combat most of my time. And then, and I was scared at times, and, it's a crazy experience to go through, and you wonder if you're leading, your soldiers the right way, if, you don't, God forbid, people's lives are in your hands. And so you're still a big bundle of nerves. I get out and I'm like, well, hell, I'm really good at movement to contact and raids. What the hell? Who's ever going to hire me to do anything? And so now I'm like a big bundle of nerves. Like, how am I going to find my way in the private world? And I don't wear a uniform anymore, and I don't have a big team of people that are pulling triggers and we can kick anyone's ass on the planet. Now what do I do? And so there was a big bundle of nerves. Now the whole time, right, you're like a swan. You're cool, calm, and collected, but underneath you're paddling like crazy. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I think I'm fooling everybody, so I'm not my authentic self. I'm walking through the halls of my MBA thinking I'm confident, trying to find my way. And meanwhile, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, imposter syndrome, I shouldn't even be here. What do I know? But like all of that is a snowball. Like it's a snowball of your own inertia around your own personality, your own persona, if you will. And I think, my take has always been, the purpose of life is to live. And, if you can live well and help others, but you can't really do that if you're not really comfortable in your own skin, because you're going to constantly be a big bundle of nerves. And so I at some point you look back and you go, what am I so fucking worried about? I've got, I did this and this and this, and this didn't break me. And, I was nice to this person. I got this person a job, and I loved this person, and I forgave that person. And you know what? I'm not that bad. I like who I am. And then when somebody challenges you on it, you're like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And I have the experience and the scars and the know-it-all to know that I don't know everything, but I know who I want to be and what direction I want to go. And I'm not going to let negative influences make me someone I'm not. You should always continue to learn, and you can always continue to grow, but you've kind of dialed in the who you want to be. And I think, I've felt that probably over the last, I would say, really come on strong in the last 5 years. And so it hasn't been, I didn't go out of the womb confident. I didn't go into college confident. I had a certain air of confidence that I kind of faked. But it wasn't until, so all of that nonsense, let me get off my soapbox for a second, and I'll say it very clearly. I hated the feeling of going into school, not having read an assignment, and sitting in my chair hoping to God the professor or the teacher didn't call on me because I knew I wasn't prepared. But now when you read the book and you did the assignment, you're sitting in your chair like, bring it on. Eye contact, baby. I'm staring at you. I dare you to call on me. You want a pop quiz? I got this. You do the same thing in life. When you've prepared enough, you're ready for anything, and you like dare people to challenge you because you've done the homework. And I think when you do the homework on yourself, it'll give you that confidence to dial in your personality. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. And you said some words that really kind of triggered me and got me into a real positive space. You said the word prepared a number of times, and that's one of the key words that I think about as my own mental filter. So I'm going to come back to that and maybe ask you about that word prepared again as it relates to some of the life events and experiences that you've had. And one of them I love to go back to, for as much as you're willing to share, Randall, I'd love to go back to, you mentioned you were at West Point when 9/11 happened, and then plans kind of shifted. And, from what you can recall and what you're willing to share, what was your experience of 9/11 when you were at West Point?
Yeah, it's funny, and I'll always say I'm transparent and honest, not because I'm some altruistic person, because it's too hard to keep track of lies. And so, I went to West Point with the idea that I would not have to serve in the military. So this was the middle of the '90s, late '90s. Rumsfeld was downsizing the Army, downsizing the military. Matter of fact, peacetime. And so people were going to West Point, which, if people don't know, it's a military academy. And so it's a free school. It's a prestigious school. You get a great education, but then you basically pay it back with your service. So you serve 5 years after graduation. I didn't come from a wealthy family. I thought, wow, what a cool, my parents are awesome. Love them to death. I thought, what a cool gift to give back to them, to that money they were saving to help me go to college. Now they can spend it on themselves. So, I'm going to go to West Point. But it wasn't, hey, I'm going to go to war. It was like, I'm going to go to West Point. I'm going to go to this really nice school. It's a different experience. And they were paying people like $100,000 to give up their commission to not serve because they were downsizing. So I got in, which I honestly didn't think I was going to get in. Got in, and then I was like, well, hell, I got in, so now I better go because I can't. I've never been a quitter, and so if I figured I wouldn't get in, so I would apply and at least try. And I didn't really think that I was committing to much. Then I got in, and I was like, oh crap, now I bit off more than I could chew, so I better start chewing. So I went. But then, the first 3 years is exactly what I expected. It's a military school. It's, you got to learn to march, and you got to learn to bite your tongue sometimes, and you get a little bit of discipline, and it's an experience. And I like that. It was something different than partying in high school and going to a college, and probably what I would have done is party some more. 9/11 was my senior year, so I remember it was obviously in the morning. We walked, class kind of got delayed because it all started happening in the morning as everybody was, eating breakfast, getting ready, about to go to school for the first, their first class. And you couldn't have scripted this better. My first class was this full bird colonel who was ripped out of a comic book, jaw out to here, gravelly voice. I think he jumped into Grenada. We sit down and like everybody shook because this thing just happened. And he's looking at all of us, not saying anything, and we're all like, some people were like on the brink of tears, and he's like, well, cadets, you're all going to war. And it was like, oh, that's a wake-up call. And so you kind of just think you're starting your day, and you thought you were going to a college to help your parents not pay for college, and you realize that probably within the year, you're going to be getting shot at. And, that's not a realization that a lot of generations have had to face. And so it's a surreal moment. I don't even know that it even became real until I was actually shot at. Like, what in the hell am I doing? But the cool thing about it is, nothing reveals character like that. We live in an era, thankfully, with an all volunteer army. Even though we didn't know what we were getting into, we still volunteered to wear the uniform. And the exceptional men and women who serve are, I won't divert to crazy political talk, but Americans should be very proud of the fighting force that has been created in America, and we are. Oh, yeah. When I say like only in the movies do our other countries a threat, and I'm not being a stupid far right boastful American. I am saying we have been waging war for 30 years now, and we are very good at it. Russia, well, now Russia's a joke because Ukraine gave them a thumping, but Russia and China cannot stand against America in a conventional fight. Not ever, not even close. And it is one part just how well equipped we are. It's one part how trained we are, but it's the people. The people we have, and watching, an 18-year-old kid who was talking about the strip club, last night, negotiate a ceasefire with tribal leaders the next morning. You're like, who are you? It's like, it is just incredible the caliber of people we have serving, both when I was in and then still today. They are above reproach. It's incredible. So I thank the experience because I was exposed to an incredible situation being led and managed by just extraordinary men and women.